You are listening to the Snocross podcast, presented by Amsoil.
Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil. What's good? I will tell you what's good. It is free shipping now through the end of the month. You only have just a few days left to head on over to amsoil.com. Enter promo code FREESHIP SNOWX at checkout when you have $50 or more worth of product in your cart. Enjoy free shipping. Joining us today on the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil is pro snowbike rider Jackie Riess. Now, we get to talk quite a bit during the season. We're talking about racing, what's going on track, current events. Well, it's been a few weeks since racing's passed, so I want to talk maybe some track things, some big picture topics about snowbike racing in particular. You're the only female pro snowbike rider on the ISOC circuit. How cool is that to you?
Oh, it's super cool. You know, I take it as being a good example for any other woman who wants to get into the sport. There's been so many weekends where I've left feeling very defeated and feeling like I wanted to quit. I've been in this for 3 years now, and the dedication is there. And, you know, I feel like someone just getting into the sport is not going to be as dedicated as me, and I can't quit because my shoes are hard to fill. I think not in a cocky kind of way, but just in a, it's difficult, it's challenging, and not a lot of beginners. There's not a lot of women in this to begin with, and someone just getting into the sport is not going to feel comfortable going out in the pro class or should be going out in the pro class right away. And, you know, the only person that could strive to be at that level right now, I think, is Taven Woody. She is your amateur class champion, which is super awesome that she is the first year of this class here in ISOC Snocross, and she is our champion. So that's super awesome. And I don't know if she'll take it to the professional level just because she's super involved and dedicated to her snowmobile racing in the ISOC circuit as well. So that's the only person I could see being as dedicated as I am, but also, you know, she has her own goals in the women's class, in the pro women's class. So definitely I take my involvement as being very important to our sport and the growth in our sport, and I think a lot of people see that too.
Absolutely. Very well said. And both, you know, Taven especially, very, very young rider, big, long career ahead of her on both the snowbike and the snowmobile side. I know she's gunning for that Pro-Am Women's Championship, and yourself too, a young rider. There is so much ahead of you, and we look forward to that. Now, I want to ask you, talking to women across a number of different motorsports, what is your take on being referred to as a female rider, a female racer? Or do you want to be referred to as just a racer? Or do you see power in being, you know, having being labeled a female racer, a female rider? What's your take on that?
I think it goes both ways, and it kind of depends on the situation. Like, at the beginning of the year, I wanted people to know that I was the only woman out there in the pro class. I ran the pink number plates like the Pro-Am women's class does, and I wanted to make a statement, and then I started to, gain a little traction, gain a little speed, feel like I was ready to be up in the mix a little bit more instead of just being the girl out there. And I got over the pink backgrounds. I'm ready to change them out and just be a rider. And, a cool example was JC Norgard, one of the photographers for the ISOC series. He has another publication and submitted some photos, and one of them was me from Cannonsburg, and the editor just picked that photo to be on the cover. That guy didn't know that I was a woman, and I asked him, I was like, does this guy know that I'm a girl? And he was like, no, I don't think so. I was like, sometimes it's cool to just have your picture picked because you're cool, not because you're the girl.
Yes.
So I think it goes both ways, and you can play that either way you want. I try not to play it as a give me things because I'm the girl, I don't ever want to have that idea out there, but I'm a little under supported. It's harder for me to get support than some of my male counterparts, so which you would think it would be the opposite. Like, it's an amazing opportunity because I get so much more exposure. Like, you're picking me to talk to on this podcast because I have a unique story. I have something to tell and talk about my sponsors. So you'd think it would be the opposite way, but it's still difficult for me to find help and support. I'm really lucky to have Yeti Snow MX believe in me 100% and back me no matter what. So it's really shown me that it's important to who you have in your corner, not just having somebody in your corner.
Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you about, I want you to be honest here. What is the most frustrating, just cringeworthy misconception or question you get asked that's like, it could be offensive, and I know you're very professional when it comes to, your peers and your fans and anyone in the industry. If they say something that's offensive, like, you play it off cool, you're chill. But, like, what's one misconception or question that's just like, ooh, did you just say that?
You know my answer. You know what I'm going to say. Are you racing a 450? Yeah, I'm racing a 450 just like everybody else. Like, it's a big motorcycle. It's a heavy motorcycle. You add the snow bike kit onto it, it's an even heavier motorcycle. Yes, I'm racing on it. Yes, I've gotten a lot stronger because of it. It's not comparable to the gym. Like, anything you do in the gym never really translates to riding. And in the gym, I'm not going to lift a 350-pound anything, like, and tackling that on the track is really where I gain my strength. And like you said, I'm just, every time somebody asks me, it's like a big old face palm. I am. I'm doing it just like the guys are, just like everybody else.
It's not like moto, like where, a 450, that's like, it's different because you really need that added power to haul that kit around on the track, throw it around. So it's different than that, and hopefully that misconception changes over time, goes away. We're nipping that one in the butt right now. It's a 450. Yep. Everyone out there is on a 450,
Everyone
correct?
There's on a 450. Yep. So I liken it to a 250 on dirt. You add the track on there, you're adding a ton of weight. Turning that track in the snow adds a lot more resistance than turning a wheel on a hard packed surface. So you just need a lot more power to make that motorcycle do what you want. And then we're riding on tracks that are pretty, the Snocross tracks are pretty comparable to Supercross. They're tight, they're technical, and you need that bottom end power to, hit those doubles or come out of the corner and hit the jump. Like, it's not... I think a lot of people wish they had more. Honestly, and some people probably cheat.
What?
What? No.
No, that doesn't happen. Straight up, doesn't happen.
But it's desirable. I will say that
for sure. Now, along the lines of the bike, we hear like it's not a turn the bars and it's gonna go. It's not a just like point and stare. It's gonna go where you want it to. It has a mind of its own, truly. From what I've gathered, would you say that's accurate?
Well, you're a rider yourself now.
I am, limited experience, looking to change that this winter with the help of my friends, but it's that was my take from it, is that it's I found I had more control the more beans I gave her, the more speed, but it's it's a different animal, that's for sure.
It goes where it wants to go, and especially with your suspension setup, if you have a lot of ski pressure, the snow bike has one ski and not two, so that stability in that ski is very important. If you have too much pressure on the ski, you're going to be all over the place because it's just going to take to every weird edge on that snow. If there's a little ice chunk, it's going to catch it and it's going to take you. Same thing if you have not enough ski pressure, then it's not catching anything. It's just kind of gliding and going wherever it wants to go. So your suspension setup is very important. And this sport is so new. ISOC has only had this class for 4 years, and this is the first year that we've had enough people to split it into a pro and an amateur class, which is very exciting. So suspension development, hasn't been going on for that long, whereas snowmobiles have been, going for a very long time. So that's an important aspect to how your bike is going to steer. It's a lot more leaning, a lot less steering. Your handlebars are not, you're not always getting on that left side trying to pull it as hard as you can to turn that thing. It's, it's with your body and your weight distribution. So, those are some things that I shared with you when you rode for the first time, and it seemed to help you, I think.
Absolutely. Now, as technology advances in snow bike racing, and we're seeing more riders, we're seeing, they're closing the talent gap. We have a lot of fast guys and girls out there. Girl in the pro class, and of course girl in an amateur snow bike with Taven Woody. But overall, I think that's really fed into a change in attitude about snow bikes. Would you say that's accurate from your perspective?
Definitely. Last year, the 2018-2019 season was the first season I raced in ISOC. And, you know, now this year is my second full season racing it. And just the attitude of people in the crowd has definitely changed. You know, I've been talking to some people, and some people show up just to watch the snow bikes. You know, like, they didn't come to watch the snowmobiles. They came to watch the snow bikes because it's new and it's exciting, and the talent pool is growing. Like, you know, when we have Jesse Kirchmeier, Yannick Boucher, you know, and then you have select times Cody Matichuk, Brock Hoyer, and Darren Meese. Like, you know, it's a big stacked field to have at a race, and it's the cream of the crop, the X Games field. You know, anyone that can qualify for our personal, you know, biggest race of the year is coming to race these ISOC races. That's a really big deal. You know, that's the pinnacle of our sport, and you know, ISOC has it at these events. So, you know, it's important for people to notice that and just see how much it's, you know, they don't know because you know, so many people, it's still brand new to them. But, you know, just seeing how far it's come in the past 4 years that ISOC's had this class, it's really incredible.
And you know, I work for ISOC, so there may be a little bias here, but, you know, I also see it from the fan perspective, because I'm a fan first and foremost, and I know you are too, Jackie, and that we've been seeing, and you've firsthand experienced this, that ISOC is doing big things for the sport, and it's, you know, there's growing pains with any sport or any class, but they really are, they're passionate about building this and being receptive to rider feedback. We saw it with the tracks this year. They continue to get more snow bike friendly, and I think that puts on a really good show, and like you said, it's paying dividends in what the fans are seeing, so we want to keep building on it there. And now I want to talk to you about something. I'm not going to take credit for this idea. This actually comes from Jim Beaver, who you and I were chatting with on the Mini Moto show. He was like, you know, we have an issue with snow bike riders in that they drop off the circuit, a handful of them, after X Games, because outside of ISOC, at the top of snow bike racing, the pinnacle is Winter X Games. Like, that much is very, very true. So what can we do to entice riders to stick around? Potentially like a Triple Crown series. How, you know, do you think that would be beneficial?
I do. I think, you know, to explain this a little bit more, have the snow bike class at all the races, as Jim suggested, but 3 of those events be worth something else, you know, towards this prize, this sponsor prize, some sort of incentive to get the riders to show up after X Games to lengthen their season, and you know, to help out ISOC for point of interest too. So, you know, Jim's idea was to have one of these Triple Crown races prior to X Games and 2 after. So these guys are, you know, they've been training for X Games. They come back to ISOC, they're in race shape, they're race ready to go. And, you know, we were talking about how exciting it would be if it was at the Ram Trucks final, you know, just to have all of these series and things come together at the end of the year and just have all these storylines climaxing. And how cool would it be that, you know, the snow biker that won this won maybe a Ram truck, you know, something exciting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm not, I'll just, for the record, I am just a talking head with ISOC. I am not involved on the, you know, the administrative side at all with planning the racing. Like, I'm literally just here to run my mouth. But I thought that was an interesting talking point. And I think we've seen some cool things with the Triple Crown series with Supercross. And it really draws people in a different way, creates a championship within a championship, and anything to make, you know, just draw more attention to this, I think is nothing but good things for snowbike. So, Jackie, I know you've only been racing snowbike for a handful of years here. You've done a lot in that short time, but rewind to 6, 7, 8 years ago, you're, you know, teenage kid. Did you ever picture yourself in the position you're in now, not only on a snowbike, but racing professionally with the ISOC series?
No. I had never ridden snowmobiles. You know, there were many winters I didn't do anything. Like, I was just, you know, I come from a motocross background and I live in Minnesota. Like, what do you do in the winter? Not a lot. Race snowmobiles, go skiing, and, you know, I didn't do those things. You know, we dedicated ourselves to motocross. So financially, it wasn't really like, let's go get more motorized things and do more motorized stuff. It was kind of like rest and recover and get ready for the summer again. So I had dreams of racing motocross professionally, and that was cool that I got to do that last summer up in Canada. Unfortunately, the United States no longer supports professional women's motocross, which is a big, gut wrencher for me, just growing up watching Ashley Feilich and Jessica Patterson and like how good they were, and they were racing on pro day, and now there's absolutely nothing. It's Loretta Lynn's amateur national. So did I think I would be racing snow bikes ever? No. Did I ever even think up a snow bike in my head? No. Did I think I'd be racing professionally? No. Like I'm just rolling with the punches here. It's kind of a day at a time, a month at a time, and trying to remember to be thankful that, not letting it become normal. I'm not going to do this forever, and, you got to just remember that you're not doing this forever. I went to college. I have a biomedical science degree, a BS, so I decided not to have a career and pursue this instead. Making big sacrifices, to do this, and sometimes I got to remember that I'm actually really sacrificing a lot. I could be starting my career kind of a thing, and I'm choosing to do this instead. So, sometimes I have those reality check moments, which are really good for me, and looking back on this year, which unfortunately got cut short, I'm super thankful, just to have the people around me that I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I respect the heck out of that, doing what you want to do, putting your career on hold, or, just making decisions to do what makes you happy and take advantage of this while you can. And heck, you're a pioneer for the sport, and especially for women. And we're lucky to have you here on the ISOC circuit. Now, you had mentioned the season got cut short, of course. It's unfortunate for everyone involved, fans, teams, riders, sponsors, you name it. But I know you are looking forward to, hopefully, going back north again this summer, but for a different swing on the Canadian Tour, assuming the borders can open up relatively soon. Can you give us some insight to what your plans are?
Yeah, so I'd like to, last summer I did the Eastern series. So in Canada, they split up professional women's motocross into East and West series. I did the East last year. I'd like to go do the West this year. They've already unfortunately pushed back their series, which never is a good sign, because of all this unfortunate coronavirus. You got to take it seriously. People at home, if you're listening, please stay home. So I don't know if the West will happen. I don't know if the borders will open in time for the West. If they don't, I plan to do the East. If that's not an option, we're gonna hit up some all-star races at the Nationals here and ride my two-stroke and have a lot of fun doing that. It never hurts to just go out and go race. Mm-hmm. As crossing over from summer to winter, just staying racing all year is very helpful for me, for my body, for my attitude. Sometimes it can get long, I will say that. In between seasons, you're kind of dreading it and ready to get over it. But, it's good to have that mentality and, never let off of that mentality, for me at least. But, I could see where it would also be beneficial to just lay low all summer and come into ISOC ready to race again. So, it goes both ways, but I kind of enjoy, especially being around the different groups of people. I have different groups in motocross compared to snowcross, so it's super cool for me to just, have a well-rounded racing year.
Mm-hmm. Who's Patty?
My girl Patty. Patty's my van. She is a 2018 Ram Pro Master City, folks. You heard her. She looks like a car. It's like a minivan, a mini cargo van. Mm-hmm. It fits a dirt bike. It unfortunately does not fit a snow bike, which makes my life a lot harder. Thank you to Mike of Mike's Small Engines for loaning me his truck so I could pull my trailer and my snow bike to all these races this year. I love Patty. Patty's built out. She's got a bed in her, ready for camping, events, very homey.
The JR27 traveling world headquarters, if you will.
Yeah. So, last summer I just lived in my van all summer. Mm-hmm. It was super exciting. Van life is all the craze now. Mm-hmm. But just doing it and racing motorcycles is super cool opportunity. And honestly, the cheapest way to get to the track. I get almost 30 miles per gallon highway in that thing. There's no way, you can, right now with gas prices so cheap, I fill up for $20. You can't go riding any cheaper than that. So I would definitely recommend. If I didn't have my bed in there, you could put 2 bikes in there. Yeah. It's a cool setup.
And now, for someone like myself who's constantly on the road for racing, like, I'll be honest, I eat like absolute crap. Like, it is fast food. It's never good. You don't have time to go out. But much less like to eat well with like dietary restrictions. And for yourself, you're a veggie. You manage to eat well on the road, and like there's not a lot of vegans in our sport and vegetarians. So like, and I apologize if I'm being intrusive here, but like, can you tell me like what do I eat? Like, not only like what do you eat, but like how do you manage that when you're on the road? Because like I said, it's hard to stick to anything when you're on the road, but you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little camp stove. I try to like do a lot of stuff with hot water. Like packets of oatmeal, ramen noodles, unfortunately, but I always have a loaf of bread and some peanut butter and a bunch of fruit. Like, it's pretty easy to just eat a lot of produce, I guess, especially in the summer when it's hot out and you want to eat a lot of like cooler type things. Winter's a little different because you want like a hearty meal, and like that's a little bit more difficult, but I always have my go-tos of Subway and Chipotle.
Love it.
You can always get a sandwich, you can always get a burrito bowl. And that is an interesting point that you make. Like, there aren't a lot of vegetarians or vegans. Like, I'm full vegan, so that I know of in our sport. Like, most of the time people are like, are you kidding me? How do you do it? Why do you do it? Like, I have a lot of reasons. I'm not here to stand on my soapbox, but I feel like it's a good health decision for me, for our earth, and for animals. So it's definitely a community within athletes that is probably really only on the internet. Like, all the other vegans that I see are like cyclists or like actually, I take that back. There are like football players that are also vegan and stuff. So there's some cool documentaries on Netflix about the benefits and stuff. But I'll get down from my soapbox now. No, and just tell you that I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and like grains and beans. I eat so many beans.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for enlightening us there. That's cool. Now, I want to ask you some questions about your fellow competitors.
Okay. Let's hear them.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to name who is most likely to do this.
Okay.
Who is going to be most likely to show up late to the starting line?
Jesse Kirschmar.
Always.
That dude is always. So he and his family helped me out the past 2 races, New York and Cannonsburg, and I'm like getting ready to go up there, and Jesse doesn't even have his gear on. I'm like, dude, every time he's like rushing up there, I'm like, how do you go out and ride all rushed like this? But I think it's good for him. I don't know.
Well, he gets it done. Yeah.
He is our 2-time champ. 2 in a row.
2-time. We're going to call him 2-time.
2-time. I don't know if he'll like that. 2-time and Showtime.
No. That's true. Who is, when you're in the pits, or, you're watching trackside, who is the rider who is most likely to have something just offensive come out of their mouth?
I don't know about offensive, but abrupt, maybe.
That's a better word.
Colton Sturm.
Colton Sturm?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that guy, he's hilarious. If you guys don't follow him on Instagram, he's hilarious. He's one of my teammates. That guy just, you never know what's going to come out, but it's hilarious. So he's a character for sure.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Which rider is most likely to get the most heated right away after something happens on track? And not to throw anyone under the bus, this is racing, stuff happens, but like who's just spicy?
Can I pick myself?
Yeah.
Can we talk about Canterbury? Like, dude, anything that could have gone wrong went wrong that weekend. Like, I was having some suspension problems. I left my boots at ERX, so I missed the first practice because I had to go buy new boots. I crashed and crashed and crashed. I got landed on. When I got landed on, I was mad. I was livid. Like, I'm sure not all boys, but a lot of the guys out there, they have a temper, of course. It's like a paycheck's on the line too.
It's part of it,
yeah. So, but honestly, like, I was on the side of the track, I was getting lapped, and I got landed on. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was literally as far over and out of the way as possible and still got taken out. Like, I was mad about it, and just, I left that weekend just, like, defeated. Like, earlier when I was talking about leaving and wanting to quit, that weekend I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is, like, I'm pretty much personally funded. You know, I have some help, but I pay for most of it out of pocket, and it's just kind of, why am I putting money into this if I feel like this after this weekend? So mad, disappointed, but most of the time I have a pretty level head about stuff. It's just like when things are, when you're like, come on, man, like kind of stuff, that's when I'm like, that's when I get heated.
For sure. And I get that. Like, it's all, and me not being a racer myself, like I can only wrap my mind around how much is on the line out there. What's going through your mind when stuff happens like that, you know, when it's out of your control too. Like, that's unbelievably frustrating. So I feel you. Yeah. But I will say, like, you know, shout out to you for, like, when you have a concern. Like, I've been in the tower in Iowa when you've come up to talk to Bobby or Carl or whoever, and you're just like, you take time to collect your thoughts and you present it in a way that's constructive. And I know, like, people like Carl and Bobby are put in a position where they take a lot of heat from a lot of people, and people don't always take the time to breathe before they go talk to him. So thank you for doing that.
No, thank you to them, because honestly, like, I feel like they listen to me and they make changes based on my opinion, and they value my opinion, which is super cool that they're not just listening to Jesse. Like, they're listening to my ideas too. You know, I've been racing since I was 4 years old. Like, I know what a good race looks like, and I know what a fair race looks like. So it's, you know, it's important to me that as this sport is growing and they're growing with it, that we make it the best it can be, because right now this really is the premier series for snowbike racing. Like, it can't just be something that, oh, we're just going to do this and we're going to do this and maybe it'll work and maybe it won't, and if it doesn't, then our sport is gone. You know, so it's not something that we can mess with. They understand that. I told Bobby straight up, I said, if you mess this up, you mess up our sport. And he was just kind of like wide-eyed. And, but he understands. Yeah. And so it's nice to have someone approachable to talk to about, you know, about my concerns.
For sure. It's important to let your voice be heard, and, you know, like, and I know you get it. Like, we're all in this together on the ice hockey side, on the rider side. Like, we all have the intention of growing this bad boy. Last but not least, last question for you is, we have a number of young riders. We have a handful on the amateur side, but even in the pro class. And snowcross racing on the ice hockey circuit hasn't been around forever. We know that. So I don't want to say who's the next big thing, but who do you see from, like, our 16 and under that's going to, like, really wow people, really floor them here in the next few years?
I think Troy Horbatty is somebody to look for. You know, that kid he's fast. He's developing as an off-road racer in the summer, and, you know, I think that's only boosting his confidence on the snowbike. You know, he's still young. He still can have some questionable mental moments, but he's definitely skilled and fast. And, you know, he's doing top 5, top 10, you know, in the ice hockey against the best athletes that we have in the world. So, you know, he's someone to look out for, and maturity, I think, will only help him.
For sure. Well, we look forward to seeing what he can do, and likewise, it's I know we have a season cut short. It's a long time until Duluth, until November, but we look forward to it. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to have you, and we look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you. You know, I look forward to coming back for 2020, 2021, and seeing where this snowbike thing goes. You know, it's been a long journey, but it's far from over.
It's a long off season. I know I'm going to need some baked goods to get me through it.
Heck yeah.
JR27 Bakery. Also, I didn't even ask you about that.
Yep, I have, it's called JR27 Race Bakery. That's how I fund my racing. You know, I come to the track or ship orders, and, you know, I sell all kinds of cookies and banana bread, and that's what gets me there. So, I appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed that chat with JR27. Now, once again, head on over to amsoil.com. Take advantage of free shipping when you spend $50 or more. Enter promo code FREESHIP_SNOX. That's FREESHIP, SNOX. That offer expires at the end of the month, just a few more days. Thank you again for joining us on the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil.
You are listening to the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil.